Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, JC Courtside, coming at y'all today on November 3rd. I'm still trying to figure out the kinks with the YouTube stream. So if I did start just a second bit late on YouTube, that's my apologies. Today, guys, we are live on all of our platforms. Well, most of our platforms that we want. We are back to live streaming the podcast Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Last week, I was still recording the podcast, but your boy was a little bit sick with a stomach flu. I think I told y'all plenty about that last week. But we are back Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, live on Twitch, YouTube, and hopefully within the next couple days, we'll add TikTok into the mix and everything else. Guys, today's podcast, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. We are discussing the winners and losers of the NBA weekend. We're sort of making that like a routine. I'm glad that we're gaining some nice structure to this whole spiel that we're doing. We're going to start talking about the winners. I got 3 winners, a couple honorable mentions, and then we got 3 losers, and then we're going to be obviously talking about why and what they can do to not be a loser, right? Well, it's kind of tough for some of the losers that we have. And we can't name every single one either. But before we get into all of that, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps more than you can understand. I guess I'm talking about you Apple Podcasts and Spotify listeners. Please and thank you. 5-star rating and review. And then YouTube watchers, shout out the YouTube live crew. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out during the live segment of this podcast. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It helps more than you guys could possibly understand. All right. Now that we got the laundry list out of the way, I hope you guys all had a phenomenal weekend. Let's start with our very first segment, the winners of the weekend. And the very first winner that I have, most of you guys probably expected this. The Los Angeles Lakers finding treasure and going 2-0 over this NBA weekend. By treasure, I think you guys all know who I'm referring to, correct? Jake LaRavia, Austin Reeves, Marcus Smart, and this isn't really hidden treasure, but Luka freaking Doncic, who was averaging 41.5 points per game in his 4 games playing so far this season. Regardless of how many games there is, nobody can deny there is one winner and one loser to that Dallas Mavericks Los Angeles Lakers trade. And I can guarantee you this, the Lakers for sure are not a loser. The Lakers are on a 3-game winning streak, courtesy of a couple players in particular. Who is number 12? Who is number 12? That's what I'm saying. Anthony Edwards, shout out to you for insulting another NBA player and being shown who number 12 is. Jake LaRavia. Excuse me, who? I heard a couple Lakers fans hyping up this pickup of Jake LaRavia this summer, and I kept thinking, Jake LaRavia, is he really going to be the needle mover that this team needs? Apparently, Jake LaRavia coming off of the bench last night when the Los Angeles Lakers at home beat the Miami Heat. Jake LaRavia off the bench, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, a +8 on the court, shot 10 for 13. 10 for 13. Now, remember that number against the Miami Heat, 10 for 13. The game before that, the Memphis Grizzlies, Jake LaRavia off the bench, 13 points, 5 for 8. Remember that number. Last Wednesday against the Minnesota Timberwolves, the game that sparked this kid's confidence, Jake LaRavia starting 27 points, 10 for 11 from the field. The Los Angeles Lakers have somehow, some way struck gold with that name, that man, number 12, Jake LaRavia. Not just that, you got Austin Reeves looking like a true number 1, number 2 player on a team. I think we can all agree. Austin Reeves is the best, most undisputed, best third option on any team in the NBA right now. This is all without LeBron James, DeAndre Ayton, their starting center. They are missing 2 starters. And Gabe Vincent. Now, last night obviously was an all-around team effort. They also helped. It also helped our case showing who the Miami Heat truly are, which we'll talk about. And we're not going to talk about the Miami Heat as a winner either. So just remember that. Just remember that. At this point, shout out the live crew. Shout out my live viewers on Twitch and YouTube right now. One of the Solo in the live crew said at this point, LeBron's not going to play until February. And he may as well not. He may as well not. Because this team right now is firing from all cylinders. Jackson Hayes hit a 3 last night. I'm not the only one that jumped out of their seat when I saw that. Jackson Hayes, you got that in your duffel? Rui Hachimura, 15 points, 6 for 12. Jackson Hayes, 7 for 7, 15 points. Austin Reeves, 26 points, 9 for 22. Wasn't an efficient night for him. Marcus Smart in the Big 25. In the Big 2025, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block, plus 11 on the court, 4 for 9 from the field, 3 for 7 from three-point land. And of course, the final starter, number 77, Luka Doncic, 29 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, plus 14, 9 for 22. It was only 1 for 11 from deep. I feel like all the superstars right now in the NBA are struggling from three-point land. I feel like they all are struggling from three-point land, so that's nothing to worry about. And then Jake LaRavia off the bench, 25 points. I mean, incredible outing. Bronny had 18 minutes, got a sweet alley-oop. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Austin Reeves just threw that thing up. And man, that kid Bronny's an athlete. That's, believe it or not, those are Bronny's first 2 points in the NBA this season. He's been averaging 9 minutes a game, but he has not been looking for his own shot. Unfortunately, he shot 1 for 4, but he did have that nice alley-oop. Dalton Knecht, 3 points, -6, 1 for 4. How has that kid not gained his confidence back from that trade? It amazes me how he's not back. And then Vando was not playing that great. He was a -9, lowest on the team. The highest plus-minus for this game was Jackson Hayes at +17. I mean, this kid, Luka is going to turn this guy Jackson Hayes into... Listen, I know a bunch of Lakers fans. Wanted that man off the team, but this guy is going to be running and dumping. He shot 7 for 7 last night, and he took a 3. This guy Luka's going to make Jackson Hayes look incredible. He's going to look incredible. This guy Jackson Hayes played Khalil Ware off the court. The Los Angeles Lakers won 2 games over the weekend. They beat the Miami Heat last night, and then they beat the Memphis Grizzlies on Friday night. Now, what I'm seeing out of this team is definitely sustainable. They are second in field goal percentage in the NBA right now. They're also top 5 in free throws made and attempted. The reason why I can see this team struggling is if they don't get a LeBron or DeAndre Ayton back soon, because they are bottom 5 in the league at rebounding. They're also not swinging the ball that much. They're in the middle of the pack there, and they're not getting any blocks. They're bottom 3 in the league. Bottom 3 in the league at block shots, which that ain't great. But at the same time, the Los Angeles Lakers have now won 3 in a row against, I think what everybody is saying, Miami's a playoff team. Memphis is a play-in team. Not really right now, and then Minnesota, playoff team. And they have won 3 in a row. This is something you can't overlook, ladies and gentlemen. They are missing 2 of their starters. Anytime, honestly, for the rest of the season, we can just keep the Los Angeles Lakers as one of the winners of the weekend. You know why? Pretty simple, actually. They got Luka Doncic. They upgraded from Anthony Davis to Luka Doncic in 2025. I can put the Dallas Mavericks as losers of the weekend every single weekend for the next 20 years, because there is no way you trade this generational talent because he was fat. I hate it. I hate it. This should not be a thing. And yet, this is the timeline that we're living in. Oh, real quick again, I'll talk about him later. But this is why I say all the time that preseason basketball means nothing. Because I thought Khalil Ware was about to have a, what year was it? 2013? Hassan Whiteside-esque year. That's what I was thinking. Preseason doesn't mean jack diddly Doesn't mean anything. I thought this guy, Khalil Ware, was about to jump and be one of the best centers in the league. Quick little side note as well while I take a sip of my drink. Anthony Davis is overweight. So I don't know what's going on down there in Dallas. First it was Luka. Now it was AD. Shout out the live crew for reminding me that AD is fat now. Let's move on to our second winner of the weekend. Listen, this ain't a podcast if I ain't gassed it up. The Detroit. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not a Pistons podcast, but they are a winner of the weekend. The Detroit Pistons go 2-0 and dominate in Mexico on Saturday night, late Saturday night. If you guys stayed up for this game, I mean, hey, the East Coast has started at 10. That is late. Technically, it started at 10:20 because there was some shot clock malfunction that was going on. The Pistons won both their games over the weekend. Wait, did they only play one game over the weekend? Yeah, they did. All right, I lied. My apologies. I lied. I completely lied. They played Wednesday and Saturday. I guess it felt like they played twice. Okay, well, I just gotta roll with it anyways because it was a convincing win. I just gotta roll with it. I hope you guys understand. There are some things that I want to talk about when it comes to the Detroit Pistons. One, they played in Mexico on Saturday. Before I talk about the stat line from that game, I got to talk about the energy going forward for this Detroit team. The Pistons right now are the 4th seed in the East behind the 76ers, Bulls, Bucks. Actually, they're tied with the Bucks for the 3 spot. So Pistons are 3rd. And then they're above the Cavs right now. Cavs and Heat. Now, what I want to mention about the Detroit Pistons are a few things right here. All right. Listen. The Detroit Pistons are 4th in the NBA at rebounding. 4th. Just to feed off of that, they are number 1 in offensive rebounding. Number 1 in offensive rebounding. Number 4th in overall rebounding. They're middle of the pack in assists, 16. Middle of the pack. They are 9th in steals. 9th in steals. Now, this is where you need to pay attention. They are 1st in blocks. If you guys want to see some real, actual defense in the NBA, you guys say that the NBA is soft, right? If you want real defense, tune into a Detroit Pistons basketball game. They are number 1 in blocks per game right now, averaging 7 blocks per game. 7 per game. They are 6th in field goal attempts. I'll explain. They are 22nd in field goal percentage. They are bottom 4 in the league at 3-pointers made. That's an issue. Bottom 3 in 3-pointers made. That's a major issue. And then they are also 5th in free throws attempted. The reason I wanted to read these numbers off to you guys is to explain why the Pistons are winning the way that they are. They're not attempting many threes per game. That's true. They're not. And the main issue is because we lost most of our shooters. The Pistons lost most of their shooters from the offseason. But one shooter they did obtain is Duncan Robinson. And for the first couple games of the season, I was iffy. I was like, can this guy not shoot? Does he not want to shoot? It was halftime against the team. I don't remember. I think it was the Rockets or the Celtics. And JD Bickerstaff straight up grabbed Duncan Robinson in the locker room. I wasn't there, but I just imagined that this is what happened. Again, guys, if you are on YouTube, be sure to drop a like. It really helps. I think he grabbed Duncan Robinson by the collar and said, shoot the ball! Shoot it! Stop passing! Shoot it! And he did. Shout out the live crew one more time. Shout out to the homie Brooks. I see you in the YouTube. We will be talking about the Raptors later on. I will not be responding to chat while we're doing this podcast, but just wanted to shout out the homie Brooks in the YouTube. We will be talking about the Raptors in a bit. In a bit. Don't worry. We got a segment saved for him. Because ever since then, Duncan Robinson is shooting that thing from deep. Shooting that thing. I think he's averaging like 17 or 18 points over the last few games for the Detroit Pistons. The reason why the Dallas Mavericks game down in Mexico is so important to Pistons fans and NBA fans around the world is because the way that this game was won from the Pistons is exactly why we need to talk about it. It was a close game through all three quarters. The Pistons go on a run, the Mavs go on a run. The Pistons go on a run, the Mavs go on a run. And then in the fourth quarter, the Pistons were down, I believe. They went on to win the fourth quarter 35-17. 35-17. The only reason the Pistons won this by 12 and not 32, hell, 42, the only reason this game wasn't a blowout is because of one man on the Dallas Mavericks, and his name is D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell went for a season high and off the bench dropping 31 points, and he hit 7 3-pointers. He is the only reason that they were not blown out down south in Mexico. Cooper Flagg, you're worrying me, my friend. 3 for 14, 16 points. Klay Thompson, the one good game that you were having, Jason Kidd wasn't playing you. I'm not talking about the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not going to talk about them. I could have easily added them later into this podcast when I speak losers of the weekend. I just don't want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about them because people are just going to get upset with me for being honest about what the Dallas Mavericks are doing right now with Cooper Flagg. And I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. You got D'Angelo Russell to be point guard for when Kyrie is out, and you don't play him at starting point guard, dropping 31 off the bench against the Detroit Pistons in Mexico. So the Detroit Pistons, something that has been brought to my attention and everyone's attention, is that Jalen Duren is ready to play winning basketball. And that's something he was not ready for last season. Jalen Duren, and I've said it 100,000 times, everybody always asks me, because they know I'm a Pistons fan, why are you not up on Jalen Duren? Why did you not want the Pistons to extend Jalen Duren off of his rookie contract? And I told you guys every single time that what casual fans will not tell you because they do not watch the Detroit Pistons games. Jalen Duren last season was horrible for the first 30 games of the year. 30 games out of 82 is a big amount. That's a large amount of games. That's not just a sample size of like these, 6 games that we've played so far in this NBA season. He was horrible. He wasn't switching. He wasn't playing defense. The only thing he was doing is getting double doubles. And when casuals see 12 points, 12 rebounds, they're like, wow, they got a good one in Detroit. No, he was horrible. Jalen Duren, once he saw that the Pistons were actually winning games last season, he then woke up. Something clicked. Something clicked when the 2025 calendar came on us. And he said, wow, this is what winning basketball looks like. I can help do this. And Jalen Duren came out and said publicly, I was playing soft as... I'm not going to finish that. I was playing soft. And I'm done with that weak poop. After that, something woke up in Jalen Duren. Now, Jalen Duren was great to end that year off. The only unfortunate part about Duren is that no matter how great he was, he could not do something that was physically not in his DNA, and that was to guard the perimeter. You guys saw it against the New York Knicks. Karl-Anthony Towns had multiple 30-point games against Jalen Duren because we didn't have Isaiah Stewart to guard the perimeter. Stu is our big guy that can defend the perimeter as good as anybody. When Duren is forced to go out at the three-point line, he still has not improved on that aspect just yet. With practice, with some more mobility, with some more footwork, he can learn how to develop the perimeter defense. And I think him having his teammate Isaiah Stewart, which better yet, let me mention something that JB Bickerstaff is doing that I absolutely adore. He is using Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren at the same damn time. Two big, brolic, athletic, disgustingly active players on the court at the same time. Isaiah Stewart has the green light. He's letting that thing fly. He's shooting 49% from three this season so far on 3 attempts per game. So the fact that you can play a Jalen Duren, who doesn't quite stretch the floor, he had a nice jumper. He's 1 for 1 in jumpers this year. But the fact that you can play those two big, beefy men next to each other is insane. Better yet, Cade Cunningham. Let's move on. Cade Cunningham, in the last 2 games, has 58 points, 28 assists, and 1 turnover. Ladies and gentlemen, he is ascending. That one turnover, mind you, was on a fast break, and he put the ball through his legs, trying to nutmeg D'Angelo Russell and himself, and they turned it over. So it was a self-inflicted turnover, not one that the defense inflicted on him. Cade Cunningham, I got to repeat, in the last 2 games, 58 points, 28 assists, 1 turnover. Sorry about the... I don't think anybody heard that sound, just making sure that the alert didn't go through. If you guys can confirm. The Detroit Pistons right now have straight up jumped what they looked like last year already. This is all without Jaden Ivey. This is all without Caris LeVert missing the first couple games, and he's come back and he's okay. Caris LeVert is okay. But what I will say is shout out the front office, Tringdon Landon, for the Detroit Pistons for going and getting a dog like Javonte Green. This guy got passed around the league for the last 10 years. Javonte Green now has a home in Detroit. The Detroit Pistons are leading the league at most shots taken in the painted area. They have the highest percentage of made shots in the paint. They are not only making the most in the paint, but they are also attempting the most in the paint. They are leading the league in blocks per game with 7. This is not a fluke. All the Detroit Pistons need now are consistent 3-point shooters. They need Ausar and Ron to shoot it more. They need Duncan to continue shooting it more. You know what else they need? Malik Beasley. There's a lot of fun with the Detroit Pistons, but there's a lot of flukes with the Detroit Pistons. They can out-rebound you. They can out-defend you. Just looking at the stats right here, the Pistons forced 9 of the 15 turnovers for the Dallas Mavericks in the fourth quarter. 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter. The Pistons had 4 blocks, 10 steals, all in the second half of that game. Things are looking up in Detroit. All they're going to need is more shooting. They're one Malik Beasley away from leading the Eastern Conference. Now, for our last official winner of the NBA weekend, it's the Toronto Raptors actually going 2-0 over the weekend, playing both ends of the court. Toronto, I'm watching. Toronto. I'm watching you now. I've been watching you all along. But now that I see that this team is actually being serious on the defensive side of the court, things are getting interesting. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies last night. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers for the first in-season tournament game. Things are going up. The Toronto Raptors are a very interesting team here because when you look at their roster, you expect that they can play good defense. They came out and said that we are going to be playing prolific defense for this year, and nobody's believed it. The Toronto Raptors in this game had 7 blocks against the Memphis Grizzlies. 7 blocks, 5 steals, 32 assists. Those are the 3 things that this team has been struggling with so far this season. They're 10th in points. They're getting the ball in the basket. They are second in assists. They're averaging 30 assists per game. Their field goal percentage is 4th in the NBA. Their 3-point percentage is 6th in the NBA. Their biggest problem is their defense. They are allowing the top 10, every team they're up against, they look like a top 10 offense in the league. They are attempting the most field goals per game against them because they are not defending. The Toronto Raptors have woke up these last 2 games. They have limited the Memphis Grizzlies. Limited. They were without John Morant and a couple other players, Zach Edey, and yeah. The Memphis Grizzlies only scored 104 against the Toronto Raptors. Not just that, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are putting buckets on everybody's heads, put up 101 points against the Toronto Raptors. Toronto, this is the energy that you needed all season long. Not giving up 140 to the Houston Rockets or 130 to the San Antonio Spurs or 140 against the Dallas Mavericks or 122 against the Milwaukee Bucks. This is what you need, Toronto. Brandon Ingram has been pretty good. Efficiency, he still needs to improve. I mean, but the last game, I think last night against the Memphis Grizzlies, was it 2 nights ago? It was 2 nights ago. It was Sunday. It was last night. The Memphis Grizzlies, right? He shot 10 for 15 against them. RJ Barrett has been by far and away the best player for the Toronto Raptors so far. And that is the one person that all Raptors fans wanted to trade. They're all saying one player doesn't fit in, and that's RJ Barrett. Hey, man, I don't know if his trade value's gone up or what. Or if Toronto fans are finally falling in love with RJ Barrett now. 27 points, 10 for 19. Scotty Barnes, 19 points. The most important thing about Scotty Barnes' stats from last night, is the 5 blocks and 1 steal. Scotty, come on, keep turning us up, man. Colin Murray-Boyles, he started because Jakob Poeltl's been out. 15 points, 7 for 14 from the field. And the odd man out right now is still Immanuel Quickley, making what, $35 million a year? This is an expensive team, but you got Jamal Shead coming off the bench doing good things. You got Sandro Mamu coming in. He's typically scoring the ball he's scoring off the ball, but not so much last night. The Toronto Raptors are slowly waking up, and I think this is what everybody wants as far as that front office goes. The only thing wrong with the Toronto Raptors is defense. And Immanuel Quickley, if you want to count him as a problem, because I consider that a problem. Very expensive team. The reason why I was so down on the Toronto Raptors, but you guys know, I'm not biased in any way. With my takes, at least. The Toronto Raptors, I was so hard on them because of how expensive their team is. They are a top 5 in the league at most expensive team. They're spending the most money on these players, especially for players who have not proved themselves yet, like a Scotty Barnes. He's shown the potential, like a Brandon Ingram, who hasn't even played a game for the Toronto Raptors until this season. And now he's proving that he's worth that contract. On top of that, Immanuel Quickley, God, that's the worst contract. That might be the worst contract in the league. It's arguably one of the worst contracts in the league. Arguably. Man, I hope this alert that I'm hearing isn't going through the recording. All of this is to be said. The Toronto Raptors could be back. They could be back. It's all dependent on whether or not they play on that defensive side of the court. Offense, I'm not worried about them at all. Offensively, I am not worried about this team whatsoever. Their biggest issue here is their defense. And in the last 2 games, they've woken up. They've truly woken up. Now, that's going to do it for all the winners, but I do have a small honorable mention. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. For my honorable mention, I wanted to talk about, briefly, the Orlando Magic. I've been hard on them. I've been very hard on them. Who hasn't been? They've looked horrible. Paolo Banchero, you're waking up. I like what I'm seeing. Keep it up. The Orlando Magic won on Saturday and they won on Thursday, so it's not technically the weekend, but they were dominant wins. My issue is they were up against the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards, 2 of the worst teams in the league. That's the reason why I didn't have the Orlando. For anybody wondering why the Orlando Magic are just an honorable mention, it's because how serious can you take games against the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards? Not that I don't see Alex Sarr in Washington. Not that I don't see Con Knipple lighting it up in Charlotte. I see it. But I'm not taking games serious against teams that give up 130, 140 on a given night. So Orlando, I'm watching. I might not be believing yet because you just beat on 2 of the worst teams in the league, but I am watching. Let's start with our losers of the weekend, beginning with, this might be a surprise to you, the Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Atlanta Hawks only played 1 game. Or no, they played 2 games over the weekend. My apologies. But they won 1. They won against the Indiana Pacers by 20. They also lost by 8 against the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. Now, you're probably wondering, if they only lost 1 game out of their 2 games, why are they a loser of the weekend? It's simple. They lost Trae Young. And in no way, shape, or form can you look at this team and say, yeah, I think I think they're fine. Trae Young had his MRI done, and it was could have been bad, but it's a sprained MCL, which means he will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. For everybody who doesn't understand this stuff, Jaden Ivey, 2 weeks ago, they said he will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. Same timeline as Trae, the reason why I bring him up. So Jaden Ivey, in 2 weeks from now, will be reevaluated. My assumption is that when he gets reevaluated, you hear from the doctor And he says, yeah, I think you'll be back on the court in another 4 weeks. Get conditioned, do this, do that, and I think you'll be good. That's different because the Pistons need Jaden Ivey. Not Jaden Ivey per se, but they need a secondary ball handler. When you look at the Atlanta Hawks and you look at what has been transpiring, many of you might not know this. Trae Young was up for his contract extension this past summer, and the Atlanta Hawks didn't give it to him. And of course, Trae Young took it to Twitter, did a subtweet, blah, blah, blah. Well, Trae Young will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. That puts us at December 3rd. My assumption is that when he gets reevaluated, he will then turn to the doctor and say, I might need another month. Might need another couple weeks. Here's what I'll say. Trae Young is not going to rush himself back onto the court because we all know who Trae Young is. And unfortunately, the last year and a half, Trae Young has looked exactly like Trae Young. I don't think Trae Young is what he was in 2021. It's sort of when you say Ja Morant, right? The fall off of Ja Morant. You have to admit that Ja Morant had a fall off because the way that we were talking about Ja Morant 4 years ago, it was, holy hell, this guy's going to be a guard of the future. This guy's going to be one of the greatest guards in the NBA. He's a top 3 guard. He's a top 3 guard. He's a top 3 guard. And yet Ja Morant, suspended, hurt, suspended, hurt, suspended, hurt, suspended. And Ja Morant has fallen off tremendously. We're not talking about Ja Morant. The reason I'm using it as an example is because Trae Young is getting worse and worse every year. But people see that assist number is going up. So Trae Young is a great facilitator. No. Trae Young is looking to score. He's unable to score. His 3-point shot has abandoned him. You can say he had a bad year. That has just completely leaked into this year. If you pay attention, look closer. At the end of the 2023-24 season, his shooting had already dipped into the 20s. And then last year, it dipped again all year. So this has not been going on for 1 season. This has not been going on for 2 seasons. Well, I guess technically, yes, it has been going on for 2 seasons now. And it's just been getting progressively worse. Trae Young is a shoot first point guard, right? He's great at drawing fouls, baiting fouls. And because his shot isn't falling, he is becoming a facilitator. He is not a pass first point guard whatsoever. So when you look at this team and you look at how it's constructed, I don't see Trae Young. This could be a win for the Atlanta Hawks, but for now, it is a loss. Because when you lose the scoring ability and the threat, then you sort of, the court starts getting clogged up a little bit here. I think what we're going to see is Jalen Johnson scoring explode. And I think I think Jalen Johnson has potential at being an all-star this year. We all thought it would be last year. My opinion is Jalen Johnson isn't jumping at me right now. I thought this year he was about to just jump at me, look like an all-NBA, look like a guaranteed all-star. He hasn't looked like any of that yet. Efficiency-wise, he has not looked. Now, unfortunately for Trae Young, I don't know what's going to happen here. Trae Young can leave next summer, or he can re-sign next summer. The issue with this team I see is that if they lose Trae Young, 1, they don't have a point guard. 2, there's not many point guards on the free agency pool next summer. On top of that, Trae Young, is this what you are now? Is this peak Trae Young? I don't know. I think it might be. He's too small of a guard to score efficiently at the hoop. So he has to draw these fouls into doing it. When you draw this many fouls and you start getting hurt and those injuries start tacking on, as a small guard, you're going to start losing that explosiveness season by season. I'll tell you guys this much. Let's say I'm a team that needs a point guard. Let's see, what team needs a point guard? The Minnesota Timberwolves. I was going to say the Houston Rockets, but they have Fred VanVleet, and he will be coming back from injury. I was going to say the Indiana Pacers, but of course, TJ McConnell and Tyrese Halliburton are going to be coming back from injury. I was going to say a lot of teams. Let's just use the Minnesota Timberwolves as an example that needs a point guard. One that sees Trae Young's passing ability and his scoring ability, or at least the idea of his scoring ability, and thinks, you know what, Trae Young is what we need. Are you giving Trae Young $200 million? Are you comfortable giving Trae Young Trae Young, which I gotta look up. I believe he's 27. Am I right? Trae Young age. Trae Young is 27. Holy hell, we are the same age. In fact, I am a few months older than him. My God, I'm... Are you giving a 5-year, or I think at that point, because if you would leave the Atlanta Hawks, would you give Trae Young a 6'1" guard, 27 years old, a 4-year, close to $200 million contract? That means he'll be getting that money when he's 32, 33. Are you doing? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Let's look at the track record of all of the past 6'1" guards over the last 40 years. Based off of that traffic, that track record, I'm staying away from that. And I think that's why the Atlanta Hawks didn't extend him. The lack of efficiency, the three-point shooting worsening and worsening every year, the facilitating only going up just to get the assist, not to get a teammate to score, just to get that stat. I am not giving him that money. The Atlanta Hawks are number one, my loser of the weekend. Now, this one, oh, oops, I pressed the wrong button. My apologies, y'all. Pressed the wrong button if you guys are watching the visuals. Now, my next loser of the weekend, I think we can all see this coming, and I'd like to apologize because I have a lot of Miami Heat fans that watch me, but it's the Miami Heat. Cannot stay in front of a traffic cone going 0-2 over this NBA weekend. I am sorry to all of my Heat fans in the live crew. Now, it's time to talk about this team, and I've been talking about them quite a bit this year, but now it's time to truly talk about them. I'm going to read you a couple stats in these teams from this team, and then I'll go individually, okay? Let's start off with the most important things that makes the Miami Heat the losers of the weekend without overreacting. This is just standard stats over these 6 games. The Miami Heat are 3rd in scoring. Dropping. They were number 1. They are 3rd in assists. That's beautiful. They are 29th in blocks. So 2nd to worst team in the league at blocks. That tracks. They are 15th in steals, 3rd in field goals made, 8th in field goals attempted. They are 9th in three-pointers made. Okay. They're also 8th in three-point percentage, 20th in free throws attempted, 23rd in offensive rebounds, and 6th in committed fouls. The reason I'm reading you guys these stats is simple. The Miami Heat does not play any defense whatsoever, and that is their biggest issue. Now, people are trying to tell me that when Tyler Herro comes back, we're going to be dangerous. When Tyler Herro gets back, we're going to be dangerous. When Norman Powell gets back, we're going to be dangerous. The issue that you guys are ignoring here is, yes, those guys score points. How many points do you guys think the Miami Heat are going to score? Tyler Herro isn't going to come in and just add an extra 30 points to the team's final total. They're not going to be averaging 164 points per game. That's not happening. He is going to be taking points from other people, like a Jaime Jaquez, who's been incredible, like a Bam Adebayo, who's been pretty good, like a Norman Powell, who was averaging 24 before getting hurt. This team, from Davion Mitchell, he's not going to just spawn a 25-point addition to this team. You're not going to suddenly be scoring 165 points per game. A Pelle Larsson is going to lose because of this. A Davion Mitchell is going to be losing because of this. In fact, I think a Davion Mitchell is going to be losing the most out of anybody on this team because of this. Tyler Herro is going to just scoot right into the starting lineup. And all of a sudden, you're going to see the productivity of Davion Mitchell plummet. You are going to see the Jaime Jaquez drives that he's doing plummet. You are going to see a lot more threes taken and a lot more threes missed. You're getting a balanced attack from an Andrew Wiggins, a Bam Adebayo, a Pelle Larsson, a Davion Mitchell, a Jaime Jaquez, a Nikola Jovic. Simone Fontecchio is going to cool down. But what you are getting from the Miami Heat, as far as a team game, is a team game. The assists are going to drop. The defense is going to drop. And yet, if you think the defense is as bad as it's going to get, it's going to get even worse. The defense is going to drop. The rebounding is going to drop. The assists are going to drop. The pick and rolls are going to increase. The most basic play call in NBA history is the pick and roll, the pick and pop. They are using the pick and roll the least amount in modern day. The pick and rolls have been tracked since 1970, 1971. This is the least amount of pick and rolls we are seeing out of a team since the stat has been tracked in 1970, 1971. These are real stats that you cannot ignore. They are running a motion offense that has worked for the first 3 games of the season. It has not worked in the last 3. Obviously, they've only dropped 2 in a row, but if you are paying attention, their offense is starting to get figured out by teams around the league. This team has not been an ISO team. Live Crew wants to say they are an ISO team. They have not been an ISO team. They are 3rd in assists. So when they get Tyler Hero back, and my Heat fan in the chat wants to come in and say, we're an ISO team. Yeah, you bet your biscuits you're going to be an ISO team when Tyler Hero comes back. And the ball movement that is winning you guys games, plummeting. Remember this stat. They are 3rd in assists. The moment a Norman Powell comes back, the moment a Tyler Hero comes back, you will see this team begin to struggle. And everyone is going to point their fingers at one man and one man only. And his name is Tyler Hero. Now, don't mind me. Pistons need a 2-guard. I won't be mad at it. We'll take 2 of your guards and Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. I won't be mad at it. Tyler Hero is going to slow this team down. And you think they're loser of the weekend now? Let's talk about this team a month from now and let's see where they go. Because I've been watching almost every Miami Heat game. And the thing that's always been constant is this ball movement, this motion offense, this lack of pick and roll offense. Guess who needs pick and rolls? ISO players. Guess who's an ISO player? Tyler Hero. That is why I have the Miami Heat as the 2nd loser of the weekend. Now, I have one more slight loser of the weekend. It's the fact that the NBA has just lost 3 undefeated streaks so far to start this season. The Chicago Bulls lost their first game. The Philadelphia 76ers lost their first game. The San Antonio Spurs last night lost their first game. Guess what? There's still one undefeated team in the NBA. I didn't even talk about them. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They are still undefeated without 2 of their best players. Without 5 rotational players. Without 5 rotational players. They are still 7-0. Now, talking about the teams, it's not going to be in depth. The Chicago Bulls ended up losing to the New York Knicks last night. They got outplayed. That was the first game that they actually got outplayed. The Chicago Bulls are incredible in every which way as far as looking at their team stats. They're 7th in points scored, 10th in rebounds. They're number 1 in assists. They're moving that rock around. They're 6th in field goal percentage. The thing that has saved the Chicago Bulls so far this season, and I've mentioned it a lot. They are leading the league at opponents' shooting percentage from deep. And now they've already dropped, just losing this game, they've dropped to 6th. Teams were shooting 16% against them from deep. 16%. Like, those are like 1980s numbers from deep. That is starting to slow down. With Josh Giddey almost averaging a triple-double, with Vucci Baby turning back the clock, with Ayo Dosunmu, with Kevin Huerter. Dosunmu missed this game last night, though, so it's no surprise that they did lose with that bench productivity that he brings. Patrick Williams has looked okay. Last night wasn't a good game. Jalen Smith has been playing decently now. Trey Jones has been okay, but yeah, Josh Giddey, Isaac Noscoro, no Scoro. I can't really say that anymore. He's scoring right now. Dosunmu. Sorry, my apologies. Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu. Okay, whatever. Dosunmu. I can't say it. Dosunmu. All right, we're just gonna say that. Ayo Dosunmu, which I just found out his name is not really Ayo. I've just learned that his name actually isn't Ayo. Look it up. Yeah, Montes Buzelis is also having that second year wall. It seems like him and Ron Holland have sort of hit that wall where they're committing a lot of fouls and they can't really stay in front of people, but their offense game looks good. It's just their defense is struggling. This team, the Chicago Bulls, are looking very, very good, and it should be a fun season looking forward. The issue is, Can they continue this lucky streak of having their opponent shoot so poorly? The Philadelphia 76ers also lost their first game against the Boston Celtics, and that one came down to the wire. I don't think they did anything wrong. But what I will say is I talked about the 76ers, and I'm going to talk about them again. I think the Pistons are playing them this week. One thing I'm not a fan of is head coach Nick Nurse turning into Tom Thibodeau. Why is Tyrese Maxey playing 40 minutes against the Brooklyn Nets? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about the 76ers long. That's all I'm going to say. I told you guys this is not going to be sustainable. Why is Tyrese Maxey playing 40 minutes a game against the Brooklyn Nets? And then the San Antonio Spurs losing last night in an utter embarrassing loss to the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, that was bad. They were tripling Victor Wembanyama. They were triple teaming Victor Wembanyama. He shot 4 for 14 from the field and had 9 points. Victor looked human last night. He did not look like the alien he's looked all year. Excuse me. This has been a rather interesting team, but last night you saw Stephon Castle drop 26 points, 10 for 16 from the field, but unfortunately just didn't have any help from anybody else. Mind you, this team is still missing Luke Cornett and De'Aaron Fox. I think the Spurs are going to be looking a lot more dangerous once they get De'Aaron Fox back. I'm excited because this team's only going to improve, and Wemby is also only going to improve. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people were expecting me to talk about the Warriors. I can't be bothered right now. The Warriors are doing their Warriors things where they lose to bad teams and beat good teams. So that's what happened to them. Now, ladies and gents, briefly, the Brooklyn Nets. I just want to talk about this now that we finished up the winners and losers of the weekend. The Brooklyn Nets are 0-6. The Pelicans are 0-6. I don't know when they're going to win a game. Hopefully not the Nets soon, because the Pistons are playing against the Knicks or the Nets this year. Sorry. So, to end this podcast off, y'all, I would like to just look at the NBA games that are played today and do my pick'ems. Let's see who's going to win tonight. Tonight we have a few games. If my score thing wants to open up, the third. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves in Brooklyn. Let's see if Brooklyn get their first win. Then the Milwaukee Bucks in Indiana. So I got the Timberwolves beating the Nets. I got the Bucks beating the Pacers. Believe it or not, I low-key got the Jazz beating the Celtics in Boston today. I got the Jazz. Give me Lauri Markkanen. 7:30, we got the Wizards in New York. Give me the Knicks. We got at 8 o'clock the Mavericks in Houston. Give me the Rockets. At 8 p.m., we got the Detroit Pistons in Memphis. Ja Morant will be back tonight. Give me the Pistons to go for 3 games in a row. 9 p.m., we got the Sacramento Kings in Denver. Give me the Nuggets. 10 p.m., we got back-to-back. Yeah, we got 2 teams going back-to-back nights. We got the Los Angeles Lakers in Portland. Try to avenge their loss from last week. Give me the Lakers. And then we got the Miami Heat in Los Angeles against the Clippers. I think the Heat are going to snap this losing streak, but I'm also not a believer yet. Give me the Clippers. Miami Heat's going to drop 3 games in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up our Monday podcast. I do want to say one more time, podcast listeners, be sure to leave 5-star ratings and reviews. If all my YouTube live crew, my Twitch live crew, be sure to drop a like on the YouTube podcast as well as hit that sub button. I got nothing left to say, y'all. We got a fun night of NBA. We will be back live tomorrow morning. As you guys know, we live stream these Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Last week, unfortunately, we were not able to live stream them because I had a stomach flu, but we are back, locked and loaded. Ladies and gentlemen, I got nothing left to say except for thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, guys, thanks for watching / listening. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern for our very next live show. Appreciate y'all watching. Twitch, don't go anywhere. Hold on.